Mahodaya, coming back to this Pranamya Shirasa Devam Krutanjali Rabhashita. Anjali, you said okay, Anjali, you said folded hands.
Correct.
It's also the name of something to do with Anjaneya, right?
No, Anjali has nothing to do with Anjali.
Anjali Mudra.
Anjali is a mudra. It's the name of a mudra. And so
it
refers to, it's called Anjali Mudra.
I think Anjani is the mother of Anjaneya.
Anjani Putra. That's why he's called Anjaneya.
Oh, okay.
Anjanyaha. Anjanyaha Apatyam Puman Anjaneya. Anyway, so your question is?
Okay, my question is, so this sloka is saying that Dhananjaya with his hairs raised is doing, it says Shirasa, you said bow down. Is it bow down or just?
No, Shirasa Pranamya, having saluted with his head. How do you salute with one's head? Without using the hand, if you have to say. What do you do? Bowing down. In our culture, it's bowing down. That is the way to salute. Just do like this, that is enough. But in addition, Kritanjali also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, correct. So you're right. So there is no bow down. That verb bowing down is not there in this sloka. That verb is not there. We are interpreting Shirasa as bowing down. Shirasa Pranamya as having bowed down. Yeah, Anirudh, go ahead.
So Guruji, we talked about the distinction or between, let's say, Vishishta Advaiti interpretation and Advaita interpretation. Can you please expand on that a little more?
Yes. Vishishta Advaita. Everything is real. Everything is Satya. There is no Mithya at all. What is Satya? If you say clay exists, clay also is Satya. Everything is Satya. Jiva is Satya. Ishvara is Satya. Jagat is Satya. They are all different entities. Every Satyam is an unique entity. Okay? But Ishvara is huge and Ishvara is everything also. And if Ishvara is everything, what about Jiva? Jiva has to be in Ishvara. Jiva is in Ishvara. Jiva is in Bhagavan. Okay? That is initial. They say, recently I heard, Tattvatrayam. Recently I heard, you cannot but hear, the TV is on in Tamil Nadu, and if somebody is watching TV and if you walk by, you cannot but hear Vishishta Advaita. It's not impossible not to hear it. And so I heard him saying, giving the definition, Tattvatrayam, Vishishta Advaita, he said. What is the Tattvatrayam? Jiva is there, Satyam, Jagat is Satyam, and Bhagavan holds everything together. That is the three. That is the way he explained it. It's fine. We can interpret it differently also. But for them, that form is so important. Guna. Sarva. Samasta Kalyana Guna Sampanna. Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara is so important for them. Nirguna doesn't exist. Nirguna doesn't exist at all. Brahma has modified. We say Brahma is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Brahma is the material of this world. And it is continuous to remain the material without changing. Correct? Without changing. For them, Brahma is Parinami Upadana Karanam. It is like milk that has become yogurt. I'm giving you some technical differences, right? These words people won't understand. Common people will not understand all these words. You can't give public talk, you can't use all these words. Vivarta Upadana and all, if you say, people say, what is this guy? What is he talking about? Where is the Kalyana Guna Sampanna? Where is all the Leela of Krishna? I come to hear the Leela of Krishna. Therefore, so then what happened? The Krishna, who is of course real, he said Avatara is Pratibhasikam. Pratibhasikam means, I hope you remember the discussion on Avatara. Okay. Pratibhasikam is a projection. Okay. Jiva's projection, that too. Anyway, so, but for them, that Bhagavan is real. He appeared in the form of Krishna. But that is Paramarthika. Paramarthika. Therefore, he showed something. Showing something must be physically, you must see something. Physical Vishwarupa was shown. Physical Vishwarupa. We will say that this whole world is God. That Vishwarupa is right there in front of you. What is the difference between this world that is there in front of me now?
Yeah.
And after Krishna came, he showed me a world. Are those two different worlds or same world or what?
Yeah.
These questions will start arising. And so for them, it's that the joy of Krishna having given a drishti of a world. And so then Yashoda also got the same vision and etc. They will talk like
So
that.
cognition or cognitively quote unquote seeing versus physically seeing. I think that
Correct.
is
The cognitive seeing is absent in Vishishta. Absent. I will go as strong as saying it is absent. Because it's all physical.
okay. It has to be physical for Vishishta Advaita.
Physical. Bhakti is physical, and then the Prapatti is also physical. Then you're going to Vaikuntha is physical. Everything is physical. So you live in a particular place, so physical place, which is different from this earth. Physical.
Okay.
Physical movement is there after death.
Okay. Now, from let's say a human being perspective, how we are interpreting these shlokas is that the cognition was possible because Bhagwan made it so by giving chakshu to Arjuna is how we are. Cognition is possible because Bhagwan granted chakshu to Arjuna. That's how we are interpreting.
Correct. So exactly like no different than the Divya Chakshu I have. What kind of Divya Chakshu I have now? All of us have now. If somebody says there is really no pot, there is only clay, if somebody says, but the pot that you talk about is really Nama Rupa, there is nothing substantial about pot, if somebody says, and if you say, yes, I got it, then you have Divya Chakshu. Correct? And if you are able to extend it to other objects and to our own body and to the entire world, then over. Divya Chakshu you already have. Correct? And then you say, hey, correct, I got it. But then what does exist? That means what? That fundamental truth must be existence itself. Because pot cannot exist without clay. Pot's existence is shaky. It doesn't contribute anything. It borrows all, pot's glory is all borrowed glory. Borrowed from clay. Existence is borrowed from clay. That means if you come down to Atma, that Atma which cannot borrow from anybody, means what? It is existence itself. Asti bhati priyam rupam namachet chamsa panchakam adyatrayam brahma rupam jagad rupam tatodvayam, says Shankaracharya in Trigdashya Viveka. He says Asti bhati priyam rupam namachet amsha panchakam. There are 5 things in this world. Asti bhati priyam rupam nama. Rupam nama, form and name. Nama rupa, like pot. Pot is a word which is, and then it has a form, nama rupa. He says, Adyatrayam Brahma Rupam. Adyatrayam means the first three that I said. What are the first three? Asti, Bhati, Priyam. Existence, consciousness, Priyam, Ananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda is Brahma Rupam. Then what? Jagat Rupam Tatodvayam. The remaining, what is left out is Nama and Rupa. It is Jagats. The entire world is Nama and Rupa. Pravibhaktam. In Sanjaya's words. And so, therefore, this cognitive thinking I don't see anywhere at all. Nobody talks about Mithya and all that. Hey, how do you explain the snake rope phenomenon? First, you tell me that. No, everything is real. Everything is real. They don't talk about that at all. It's just amazing. I mean, it's a way of stopping the thought process at some point. That's what I mean. And then, we are stretching it further. That's how we like to think of it. So, Anirudh, I hope that was useful.
I dropped out because Wi-Fi broke. I will have to review the recording. I think I would like to do that. But yes, I got at least a lot of what you said, Guruji. I had one other thing, if you permit. You said a couple of times that "main samay hu," that statement is very important. What does that mean?
What does that mean? The statement means?
Yeah. So why is it important?
Why is it important? Yeah. It says some time is ignored. Time is ignored in all our analysis of God, etc. Time and space are ignored. Time and space are given. They assume given.
Yes.
गोलोक वृंदावन जाना है, डांडिया रास खेलना है वहां जाकर. So everybody is happy. I will play Dandiya Ras when I go Vrindavan. Because I am a Krishna Bhakta. Okay? Over, finished. So nobody questions time, space. Nobody questions time also. Therefore, my samay ho, when he says, I am manifest as the world, no doubt. My jagat ho, but my samay bhi ho. Samay. Spend some time to think about time, which doesn't exist. In your deep sleep, time is gone.
Correct.
Time is gone. Therefore, time also is coming and going and coming and going. Like anything in this world is coming and going. So, my samay ho means what? Okay, I am as permanent as time because time doesn't fall anywhere because time is constant. But only if you understand me, you can say that time is mithya.
Yes. Correct.
Only if you understand my chakra, you will say, hey, I am that Atma around which time is constantly moving.
Correct.
Anything that moves is mithya. That is what. There's a lot in that statement, my samay.
So I think they are now saying, or at least what, that time started with the Big Bang. There's no time before Big Bang. That's what they're saying. Now, this Big Bang is this edition of the world. Whatever happens after that, again it will stop, again it will start. I think that is the theoretical framework people are putting behind time, or have put behind time.
Yeah, correct. So they're now beginning to accept multiple.
Yes, no, that's the only way the theory makes sense, they say. So it has to start with the Big Bang, nothing before Big Bang. We don't know what happened. It will stop at the big collapse and so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, Prasad, go ahead.
So before going to my question, since I was hearing about my samay ho, probably they should include, maybe it's a effective way of saying in Mahabharata, but both desha kala vastu all should be part of it. So they should say desa also, my space ho. So everything should be included. So
we do that. So in our thing, Tasmad Atmanaha Akasha Sambhuta. Akashad Vayu. Panchabhuta, Akasha is there. Correct? Where is time in Panchabhuta? Such an important thing, time. Yama is called time. The guy who is the killer, time is the killer, greatest killer, they say. And that time is missing in Panchabhuta. We talk so much about Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, etc. Where is time? Well, time is there going along with Akasha. The minute you say Akasha, time walks along. Time is a companion, like two sides of the coin. There's not space without time. There's no time without space. That's the idea. The time and space go together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is technical question here. So when you talk about Vishwarupa Darshana, so Vishwarupa is basically Virat. Now Virat is that Brahman which is limited by Maya, reflected in Sukshma Sarira, reflected in gross body also, the Sthula Sarira. So when it comes, this is whole thing. When it is showing, you said earlier also in the beginning, it's a certain part of it. And when you are answering some question here, it's a physical body. So, but it is actually the whole thing, right? I mean, it's Brahman, which is reflected in Maya, or limited by Maya, reflected into Sukshma Sarira and into Sthula Sarira. So it has to be whole thing. With Chakshu, what he got, is it not that he looks at the whole thing? I mean, it's Brahman himself, Brahman itself.
Correct. So two things will come here. So it is not just Virat, because Virat is Sthula Sharira Abhimani. If you say Virat, then Hiranyagarbha will be left out. Sukshma will be left out. And if you say Sukshma, then the Karana will be left out. And therefore, it has to include all, like you said. So Virat plus Hiranyagarbha plus Ishvara, all of them are there, correct? So it's all, including Sukshma and Sthula. That is one thing. And the second thing is, yes, he saw Brahman, means what? He saw Brahman means he saw that the whole world of ornaments is gold. Suddenly he saw gold. He can't see ornaments at all. He says everything there is gold. Correct. That is Sarvam Kalu Brahma. That is what he saw. He had that benefit of that vision. That is the only way to see it. See it all. In fact, see it all aseshena, without leaving anything. Without leaving anything out. Only that vision can give you. Otherwise, the physical side is always limitation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Prasad. Bhagya and Ramesh.
Jai Kumarji, this is in reference to stanza 12, Devi Surya Sahasrasya. Mr. Robert Oppenheimer, he was in University of Berkeley, he's a nuclear physicist. First time they blasted the nuclear experiment, the nuclear weapon. When he saw the light, he comes out and tells that this stanza he will mention has seen like 1,000 suns all at once. It came, the nuclear explosion that made so much light. That was the explanation he gives, and he quotes this sloka in 1945, July 16.
Correct.
It's
Devi Surya. Correct. He quotes it.
just a point I want to make it. It's
Right.
very interesting how Bhagavad Gita was, so many people were so much impressed and then so much in depth. We are fortunate to have our own Sanatana Dharma. How much many people are impressed.
Right. That means they were able to see. That means what? That means they were able to see that the so-called God Krishna is beyond, is not to be taken literally. In the form of God Krishna, he has come to teach what is Akrishna. He could see it. All those people could see it. Because that's the beauty. That's the beauty of this. Otherwise, then it's different. Okay, then I'd rather follow Jesus because I'm more comfortable and familiar with Jesus. Okay, he can say that. There is no such thing. There is no such thing in the Bhagavad Gita. That is what we will claim. So, yeah, thank you, Ramesh ji.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Vijay, go ahead.
But I just want to add, but it is so sad about his end, though. It is so sad about Oppenheimer's end.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just read a brief article about that. And so I
He
was,
passed away when he was 62 years old.
Did he say? No, he was not passed away. He was forced to pass away.
Oh, but that's what the Google says.
No, he was he was condemned and put to death.
oh, really?
Died at
Yes.
the age of 52 in Princeton, New Jersey.
Correct.
Okay.
He became anti-nuclear movement. I didn't know about this.
No. It is nothing to do. They said he spied.
He spied.
Yeah, he did not.
Oh, I see. Okay, if you can find something, some
Thank
a review article or something on that, maybe that'll be useful to catch up on.
Yeah, Guruji, during that time, 40s and all that, the thinkers, especially in the US, were, but they were using their intellectual faculties to follow the Bhagavad Gita. If you remember that book, Catcher in the Rye, the very, very famous book, Holden Caulfield, it's like every American teenager story, apparently. He supposedly goes into depression after reading the Bhagavad Gita, which is supposed to be, Salinger's, let's say, more or less autobiographical. So I think the intellectual, let's say, if you pursue the text with completely, it is going to take you in places where the fullness of the vision is not going to come to you. Same happened to Oppenheimer also, I think. By the way, if you look at his Wikipedia entries and all that, there is very little mention. They say he studied the Bhagavad Gita, not that, as like just an intellectual achievement. And I think that's probably where all such people go, in my, sorry, very silly opinion, but I think that's the problem. That's the problem these people have. They study it from an analytical they are obviously very, very intelligent, extremely brilliant in that faculty, but I don't think they get it, in my opinion.
The point
And at the
here,
same time, there are folks who praised all these things. So if you look at Ralph Waldo Emerson or
Yes, they have.
they have understood it. They understood it, and this what's his name? The one who wrote this history of civilizations, etc. I forgot his name. He visited India also, and what is his name?
I think Will Durant.
Will Durant. The Case for India and all he wrote. So he is very crystal clear about all these things. So that's what they have to. If you don't study this properly, then your mind will go off and take off in various directions. That is other thing about these texts. And so, plus add to that how they want to present all these things. If they give credit to Bhagavad Gita, what will happen to all these, all the narratives they come up?
Correct.
Will all crumble with like a house of cards. So they will never allow this to happen. They will never allow it. Wikipedia especially will not tell you.
Correct. It does not.
Yeah. Okay, Vijay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Guruji, so this Divya Chakshu which Bhagavan gave Arjuna is more like he made him realize the Brahma, right? It's not a physical sight or not a sight, though it's Chakshu and all. It's more about he realized, he became a Jnani at that time.
Correct.
He realized the Brahman.
Correct.
Now, after that, did he go back on becoming a normal person, or he remained in that Jnani state throughout?
So, see, he has a lot of questions. Many more chapters are there. He's asking a lot of questions. So that means what? There are two things. That means we understand Jnanam is there, but Nishtha is not there. Because all along I was an Ajnani. Okay. And so I'm used to certain responses in the, I've been taking this world as Paramarthikam. Suddenly you say there's no snake and there is only rope. You know what happens? Then every time you see a rope, you will still jerk back. And then you have to tell yourself, no, this is not a snake. This is not a snake. Yeah, it's not a snake. Yeah, it's not a snake. The next time when you come back to the rope, you'll jump back, recoil. Why? Because I'm used to recoiling all the time.
But they say once you get that vision or realize it, then there is no way you can go back also, no?
That is correct. That is correct. That is why this guy recoil. The recoiling is not intellectual. The recoil is the emotional. It's a what do you call it? The knee-jerk reaction. Knee-jerk reaction does not ask your permission. It happens. It's a reaction that happens, and then you reacted. Then you bring that vision back and say, yeah, this can't be a snake.
But Jagmarji doesn't.
Then what do you call it? After jnana nishtha. There is a jnana nishtha.
Abidance in that same.
Correct. Then there is no chance. Then the recoiling and all will not happen. Pain and all may be there. All kinds of things may be happening to the body and all that. But then there's no longer any reaction. Any reaction like the way an ajnani would react. That's the thing.
Jagmarji, isn't there a story that Arjuna asks Krishna again after the war, like, many years later, to repeat it? Why does he do that?
Yeah, so that's because vision is there. But a person who has the vision can still listen to the Shastra. They may not know how to communicate it. It is like you listen to Ramayana again and again. Why is that? Does it mean the second time you don't know what Ramayana means? You actually know everything that's going to come. Everything. Expecting that person to say it, you keep listening to the same story. It's absolutely amazing.
So it's not that he forgot or anything.
No chance. It's because it's so good to hear. I'd rather be listening to this again and again, so that I can get that nishtha. Nishtha can be there. You can get it. Same way. Then
Then you are.
yeah. Javaidya, then Mahesh.
Yes, Jayakumarji. So here, I think, in my opinion, Arjuna doesn't get jnanam as such. He gets a vision, but he doesn't see himself as part of the vision. So that's why he has a bhayam also, right? Because after praising Krishna, we'll see in this rest of the chapter, after praising Krishna's Vishwarupam, he'll say, I want to see you with your Kiridam and, Kiridam Chakrahastam, right? That he'd say like that.
So,
and then your Saumya Rupam, I want to see you.
So Vaidya is saying that full knowledge is not there. Complete knowledge is not there.
Yeah.
The knowledge of what as Brahma can be there, but in the process, the person has forgot to look at himself. That person continues to think of himself as a mortal with the pot jnanam, and the world jnanam is there. Then are you still a mortal? Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. No. So he hasn't thought through that yet. Therefore, that Jagat that he saw as Brahma, he did not include himself in that Jagat. He's still an observer. He's still a separate entity. He is still a Pradibhakta entity. Okay, Jiva. Hey, that same vision I have applies to me also if he had said, which he's going to say later. The 18th chapter is going to say that. Vaidya saying.
Yeah, thank you. And then second comment. So Surya, our friend Surya Kauri and I, we were talking about this Oppenheimer quote, etc., about a week ago. And Surya actually shared with me a clip of Oppenheimer's interview about this particular thing. So what he says is, so, it's clear from that interview that Oppenheimer just read the text of the Bhagavad Gita. He didn't understand any of the philosophical implication, because he goes on to say that Krishna, to impress the prince, shows him this form. And then he says about the 1,000 suns, etc. So I give Oppenheimer the credit for remembering the 1,000 suns, analogy from what he had read from the Bhagavad Gita. But in the Bhagavad Gita, it's Arjuna as a devotee saying, "Oh Lord, please show me the form." It's not anything like Bhagavan is taking it to impress him, right? So again, it comes back to what you had said, Jaykumarji, in the last class. Bhagavan, Adi Shankara saying, "Asampradayavit is a murkavat." So we should just take these, these questions by people like this just with a grain of salt.
Give them credit for what they're good at. That's about it.
Right, exactly.
Don't push it too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, Surya sent me that also, I think a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And then third point about Vishishta Advaitam. So I've heard Dushyant Sridhar say this, Dushyant Sridhar, about. So now, Nirgunam comes so many times in our Shastram. So Vishishta Advaitis have to say what Nirgunam means, right? They can't escape it. So what Dushyant Sridhar says is, Nirgunam means one without any bad qualities. That's what Nirgunam means.
Yeah,
That's how Vishishtaadvaitins describe.
Nirdurgunam. Absence of any durguna. It's beautiful to know, it's interpreted that way, Beautiful, because that's what we all want to be. Nirdurguna. But two sides are there for every coin. That they not seem to address that question yet. So it's convenient. A thinker cannot accept that. Only if you stop thinking, only you can accept all that. Because final analysis, if you accept that, it's like a lullaby, Lullaby. We all like to be cuddled like, and then you feel sleepy and all that. Nice. Good. So I feel good when I hear that. We all need that. So correct. So Nirgunam, the way they interpret is absence of any undesirable qualities. That is the way they interpret it.
Does it mean that
Swarga, and I heard the Velukudi saying, and Swarga, hey Arjuna, do you want to go to Vaikuntha? If you want to go to Swarga, that's fine, go ahead. And when Vaikuntha is waiting for you, why you should go to Swarga? Means for them, definition of Swarga is some less inferior, the inferior lokas, inferior to Vaikuntha. That is the meaning. Very interesting the way they interpret all this.
but
So,
Jaykumarji, by
but
that
that is guna, Ananta Kalyana Guna Sampanna. Very important. How dare you take all gunas away from our God, What is it, Prasad?
No, so by that definition, it is actually the Vishishtadvaitins, what they talk about is they don't accept the guna-less divinity. So by this definition, are we not saying that you're accepting the gunas for the nirguna? Because when only you restrict by saying, okay, not bad gunas, then you are indirectly saying, well, gunas are okay.
You're saying Vaishishta Advaiti is saying that. That's what you're saying.
Vishishta Advaitis, normally they say that they don't accept any guna-less divinity or God. But what Vaidya just said, by that, when it is not having bad gunas, which means that we are saying indirectly gunas are also prominent here.
Vishishta Advaiti says Nirgunam should be interpreted as absence of bad gunas, undesirable gunas. Means presence of infinite amount of desirable gunas. That is
they are saying that. Okay. So that definition by them. Okay.
By
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I understood the thing. Thank you.
Mahesh, go ahead.
I happened to listen to this Dushyant Sridhar lecture a few times when I was in India. Most of them are, to me, especially after going through these classes for the last few years, most of them are like mostly storytelling. And that's what most of the people want to hear also, I think. I didn't find anything very substantial learning in any of his lectures. That's my limited number of lectures I listened to. Same with Velukudi also. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
so,
listened to him when he was in Houston, but
yeah, so they're all prolific speakers, very good speakers they are,
yeah, I mean,
and they're knowledgeable, but the knowledge revolves around the stories only. It's all very stories, and that interpretation of how to understand that particular the interpretation stops with stories. It cannot go beyond that.
only stories. I don't see anything else. I mean, this reminded me of the Kada Kalakshepam I used to listen when I was in school. Because those days there was nothing else, entertainment. Kada Kalakshepam was the only entertainment. So most of the, all the kids will come when Hanuman comes. Otherwise, initially, no kids are around in the Kada Kalakshepam. So people want to feel that story. Maybe if I'm not saying anything wrong. People feel good about it, but there's no real learning in that. That's what I'm.
So therefore, what we will say is this: Atma Prakashanaya. So to access Atma, you have to access it through Anatma only. Okay. So to access Nirgunam, you have to go through Sagunam. And every story that is told is all Sagunam only. And going here, going to heaven, this, everything is Sagunam. Go ahead, do it. Because that means you have to enjoy that Vaikuntha Loka. Only then, after that Chine Punya, I don't know how they interpret this Chine Punya. I need to listen to Dushyant Sridhar, how he explains that sloka. And then Matiloka Mishanti and all is happening. So there are certain places where they will have to interpret it very differently. So we will say that, yeah, you will still have to experience all those enjoyments. And it is all possible. One can experience because punyam is always there anyway. Any amount of punyam can be gained. And go ahead and experience. But because it is karma phalam, we will say it is not nitya. That's how we will say it.
Another question is, we talked about this Oppenheimer and few others who supposedly read Bhagavad Gita. I was wondering, they're all self-reading, I believe, not through a guru or something. So that's what I gather. And that reminded me of a quote by Swami Chinmayananda. Apparently, during one of his visits to the US, in one of his class or lectures, somebody asked, why do I need to go through this guru to learn these scriptures and all? There are all these books are available in different languages. So why not I go through, just read the book and so. So his response was, please go ahead and ask the book that question.
Good answer. I like that.
So when you get a question,
I need to remember that answer. Somebody next time somebody asks, I should also learn to do that.
So, because Guru is there to explain, and if you are reading self-reading, if you have a question, go and ask the question. Why are you asking me? So this was quoted by Tejomayanandaji also in a couple of places. Once in Houston when he came. So I just reminded me when that Oppenheimer thing was stated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. First off, Dhanyavada to all the sahpartis. I think your questions answered some of the question that I'm going to ask, but I will ask anyway. So in the first verse in chapter 11, that this delusion of mine is gone. But then in the fourth, he is asking Krishna to show he is asking for Krishna to show his eternal self. So, is this because Arjuna doesn't have the nishtha? Meaning he's got it, I think, intellectually, but he hasn't gotten it, and he wants to see, I guess, practical, I don't know if that's the right word, the vastness or the greatness of the Lord.
Yeah, so he knew enough. I think there's one thing, we can say one thing. He knew enough to ask the question, hey, now tell me. And you're telling the whole world is Brahma. I think I got it. I'm there. I'm there. So now tell me. Now do something. And you make sure because I do have a long way to go. Okay, I have to fight the war, this, that. I have a lot of things to do and all. I won't have time for all this nididhyasanam that you're talking about. This is a protracted war and all kind. So therefore, you do something now. Give me something. Give me the benefit of the vision. So I think I can see some reasoning behind Arjuna's question. But yeah, definitely no jnana nishta that you talked about. So that nishta will come slowly. And so yeah, that can be one way to reason this out.
Yeah. So when this vision Krishna is showing, I think we have to keep in mind that it is, I don't know, it is limited, right? Meaning it is limited by space and time, right?
Yeah, so because we are used to looking at this as something that Arjuna is seeing with his eyes, something is appearing in front of it. Something is appearing in front of it. We are used to looking at it like that. And because if that is the way we are going to look at it, yeah, then it is limited. By that definition itself, it's limited. Because there's a looker and there's a looked at. Seer seen is there. And so it's limited. It is limited.
So it is more to induce bhakti, right? Because ultimately, like everybody said, one cannot just have an intellectual knowledge. You don't get it, right? That is what karma yoga is, right? You have to have that combination to appreciate this knowledge, right?
Definitely. Definitely it will induce a lot of bhakti. Definitely. Vishwarupa Darshana. So it will, because of the enormity, it is physical enormity, let's put it that way. Physical enormity of Krishna, of God. So then this all-pervasiveness of God, which Prahlada had that vision, is given in this Vishwarupa Darshana, right? And yeah, definitely. So if Jnanam is not there, Bhakti will definitely increase dramatically. Unshakable Bhakti will be there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that shows the enormity of this vision, Swapna. That shows that's why sannyasa is so important in our culture. Because the vision is so big. Then if you are the whole, then somebody can ask, then why do you need all these big palaces and all that? Yes, I don't need a palace. I'm going to walk away. Walk away. That's it, over. That fellow will just walk away. We have to run after that person. Please, you come back. We want you to teach us something. So that's the beauty of this. A person who knows really will have the Tyaga Bhava. Tyaga is, in fact, he will just walk away. Period. I used to hear this. Peter Swami used to say it. I'm just going to go away. I don't need to be here. And people used to tell him, no, Swamiji and all, etc. The stories I hear. So it's all for everything. All the chips are falling in place, in my opinion. Because they will ask the question, how come this guy talks like this and he's having a retinue of people and he's having so many Mercedes cars and this, they will ask all this question. Because that block immediately, that doubt will block the whole vision. God. Therefore, our Shastra has said, you just go off. You just give up everything and go. You be in your own world. We'll free you of all dharmas. You don't have to do anything. I think it's a natural outcome of this vision. To me, it feels like it. Sannyasa is a natural outcome of this vision. Sannyasa also. Nyasa, giving up. Samyak nyasaha. Asheshena nyasaha. Swami once he said, I can just go out without wearing clothes also. In a satsang, he said that. It just shook me like that. That means don't take us for granted. That is the meaning. Don't take us for granted. That's the power of this vision. Dehabhimana is not there, my dear friend. So it's just too much. It's just too much. Swapna.
Somebody close to me, mocked and said, oh, Swamiji travels by Mercedes Benz. Why does he need? He's a sannyasi. Why does he need a? So, this was many years ago, and at least I had the knowledge or some thing to answer back. I said, it's not Swamiji is asking for Mercedes. It's people, out of their compassion, they want the best for Swamiji. And Swamiji, out of his compassion, is just obliging. He is very well, he can just walk bare feet. He doesn't need that. He's not asking for the Mercedes. So, but I think, it's, I think that the knowledge makes one, it's a natural, like you're saying, it's a natural progression. You evolve and humility and everything, the way you see the world evolves, it changes. Yeah.
And so periodically I do this. I'll think of this. Suppose I am just there without a family. Everybody has a family. And without the family, who will I be? Will I just be shaking like a leaf? Or can I just stand myself and say, there's nobody there. There's nobody to even call you and say, how are you doing? Did you have a meal? No, nothing. Suppose nobody is there. Just imagine a world where nobody knows you. I do that sometimes. And then how will I feel? Will I feel incomplete, vulnerable? Or what? That I will ask myself. Suppose I write off all my assets in a will to somebody else and say, can I walk away? Can I do that and walk away? Because now I have certain assets. Okay, I have certain things that I can call my own. I am able to do all these things. Am I dependent on that? I have to ask myself that question. Otherwise, this knowledge will not work. One side, I have all these things. I need all these things. Other side, you go around talking like this. This is not, it won't work. That's why we have to be very prayerful. This prayer is so important. Give me that Antakarana Shuddhi, so that my thinking is proper. We're going to study this Gayatri, I'm going to teach you, right? So Gayatri, may you give me the right thinking, which means we have to ask this question if it arises. Am I happy because I have these things, or can I be happy without these things? I have to ask the question and think about this. If somebody challenges me and says, you walk away from all this, I will see you. What will I do at that time? that is the test of standing on fire, you know. You have to think like that. You have to think like that. And sometimes Swami Satsangs, occasionally he will, if he's pushed, he will talk like that. He will say. And those statements still are there in my mind that he said. So that shows that that is why I say things like don't turn off your videos and all that. Why? Because the sanctity we have to give to this Shastra. We have to give. And without that giving that sanctity, there is so much there here. I am only accessing a small portion of it every day. And so let's at least be prayerful. Let's start with the prayer. Let's end with the prayer. Let's at least be attentive during this time. Let's not do other things when the class is going on. All that is because we need this vision. It's so grand. Otherwise, it will become just some, they say, intellectual exercise. You know. Why they say it? Because it's not there. The body and mind are not there in it. I do something, then after this, I go off and do something else. I'm in a different world altogether. I'm transacting. I'm doing business. That's why Swamiji won't like all this. He's starting agarbatti business and this and that. He won't like all that. Because, not that you can't do, but then all these questions will come. What do you stand for? You are supposed to be a world leader. People are looking up to you. And looking at that person, it has to, that vision has to be, his actions and voice and words, everything should be aligned throughout. And so don't get into all these businesses and all that. Not good, not good. So it's really, Sapna, it's a very big thing, and I don't mean to do any justice to that question. And it requires a lot of introspection and living it and all that it's very difficult, very difficult. But it's possible. It's possible. That's the culmination. It's possible. Our rishis have shown it is possible.
And I guess, having seen Swamiji, that's our proof that yes, it is. It is very much possible. I mean, very fortunate to be able to see Swamiji up close, meaning to, yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, Dhanyavada.
Let's stop with that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanmantaraye Amrita Kalasahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha.